Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea. I hope you're all well today. Welcome back to another episode of Ask the Throw. This is number 17, and this is where you have questions for this throw, and I will do my very best to answer them. You may have just seen that I started the video with a new guitar that I have acquired. This is a guitar that I've been a real big fan of for a long time, not actually had the pleasure of playing one until NAMM this year. In case you didn't know what it was, I'll grab it for you now. So this that I'm holding in my hand is a Musicman Jason Richardson Cutlass Signature 7-string. Now, I'm sure you all know who Jason Richardson is because he's one of the most intense metal shred guys I think I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anyone play that fast, that cleanly. He's an absolute machine. Therefore, he needs a guitar that sort of does what he needs it to do. But a byproduct of that is it really works for other people too. I was looking for a second 7-string, mainly for tracking purposes, because I use the Chapman ML Pro 7 with my bare knuckle nail bombs in, and I wanted another guitar for the other side so that you weren't doubling up the same sort of guitar and all that kind of stuff. If you're into re-recording, that's a nice little tip, is to, record with two different guitars on either side. So I only had one 7-string. So I was speaking to Musicman, and I've been doing some videos for them recently on some new guitars and things like that, and I really wanted to get my hands on one of these because they're quite hard to come by in the UK. So we very kindly worked something out, and now I own this guitar. So it's an alder body, Buckeye burl top. It's got a roasted bird's eye maple neck, ebony fretboard, stainless steel frets, Musicman hand wound pickups, and it's got its own trem system, which is really nice, like a matte black thing. It's got a mag boost, it's got coil split, it's got Schala locking tuners. It's a really, really nice guitar. And I don't know if you can see on the close-up cam there, but I'm just going to show you a couple of sweeps. As you can see, it's a Buckeye burl. They're all very different. I actually really like how understated this is because sort of the closer you look at it, you can see all the detail inside that Buckeye burl, which is a diseased wood. Anyway, that's the guitar. I just thought I'd mention it because, I'm a fan of guitars, of course, and recently become more of a fan of 7-strings, so it's really cool to be able to get a second 7-string for all my recording purposes. I actually just used it on a new Tosca single that we're in the studio doing, which is going to be out soon. Anyway, let's get back to the point of this video, which is asking the throw some questions. Okay, so the first question is from Massaad. I don't know how you say your name, I'm really sorry, man. Anyway, he says, Beer, I'm looking for some bridge pickups for my guitar. I think it's time I try bare knuckle pickups and can't decide between Silo and Warpig. How would you compare the two? Thanks for all the inspiration in the world. Cheers. Thank you very much for the question, dude. And well done for choosing bare knuckle pickups. As you know, I'm a huge fan. I now have my own signature pickup from bare knuckle, which is the Silo humbucker set. Couldn't be more proud of those pickups. So, and like I said, I've been using bare knuckle for like 12, 13 years now. Long before I even knew the guys at bare knuckle, so I couldn't recommend them highly enough. The Warpig was the main pickup I used for many years, and the reason that I wanted to change it, but also being able to do the signature thing, it's based on the Warpig. It's just lower output, it's got way more dynamic range, and that was kind of the remit really, because I'd used the Warpig for so long. I'd kind of, when we came to do the pickup, I wanted to base it on that. So comparing the two together, the Silo and the Warpig, tonally they're kind of similar. I would just say that there's a little less mid honkiness in the Silo, and it's got more dynamic range. It's not as high output, so it's really good for cleans. It's really good for push cleans and stuff like coil split tones, but then also it's brutal and heavy, and it does all that stuff in between. I've had guys using them on 8 strings. I've had guys using them for like blues stuff, for hair metal shred, for all sorts of different styles of guitar playing, and everybody seems to really like them. So if you do get a set, I truly hope you like them too. Next question is from Rock Bottom. He says, hey Beer, congrats on the new guitar. For the next Ask the Throw, I really like the story attached to the development of your signature guitars. For example, how your musical influences and growth shaped the development of your guitars. Any chance of seeing an updated ML1 Beer? Yeah, okay, well thank you very much for the question. Yeah, basically I think over the years the first ML1 Chapman was basically an N4. I really just wanted to recreate the Nuno guitar, but with a couple of differences, but that was kind of what I wanted to do there. Visually, it looked kind of like my first Washburn X50, and I wanted to tie the two together with like the quilt top, slightly sort of orange caramel look to it, and then of course it being more like a double humbucker Floyd rock machine, which it really did the job of doing that kind of 80s hair metal thing. My friend Rocco, he has one, and he said it's so good for all that kind of stuff he likes to play, like, you know, all your extreme, like White Snake, you know, bands like that from that era. So it does a good job of that. However, when it came to do the ML3 beer, I just, at that point, I sort of changed my tastes, really. Like, firstly, the shape I wanted, like a T-type shape, a telly shape, you know. We all say T-type, but it's obviously a telly. But also, I wanted to change up the woods. So I'd had experience using Padauk with the M4 that I had, and so I put the neck on that, and I kept the alder body. It was a really good combination of woods. I was very happy with that. And of course, visually, I just wanted to do my own thing, something that I like. I like black and red as colours together. I like kind of smoky aged looks, so that was, you know, the inspiration there. Fast forward to the new ones, I knew I still wanted the T-type shape, and I wanted the pickup configuration, but I obviously wanted my own pickups in there now. So of course the silo in the bridge and the little 59 in the neck. But then visually, I thought it'd be cool to try out some, you know, some different tops. So that's why we got the Mappa Burl, and then you know, we kept the alder bodies because that's my favourite tone wood for the body. But I decided to go maple again, but roasted bird's eye maple on the Karthus burst, and then I wanted to do Wenge neck and fretboard on the baritone, on the Irithyll burst. And I'm really happy with the wood choices. Those guitars sound completely different in their own way, but they're both awesome. It's worth saying that I wanted the Karthus burst, the ML3, to be more of a lead focused guitar this time round, because I think with the older ML3 beer, that was really focused on like being a riff machine. You could play lead on it, of course, but the neck was a bit wider. It was made more for riffing and really focusing on the kind of where I was doing all the Tosca stuff. Whereas I kind of miss playing lead as much as I used to do. So that's why I got the new Karthus to be more like that. Neck's slightly narrower. It's thicker, but it's slightly narrower. And it's just more of a shred guitar, which I'm really happy about. But of course you can still play filthy riffs on it, which I very much intend on doing. And of course the colours are inspired by Dark Souls, because Dark Souls and From Software make the best games on the face of the earth. Next question is from Nogx. He says, hey man, you might have answered this earlier. How do you like offset guitars like the Gibson RD? I really like offset guitars. They've grown on me more and more over the years. Gibson RD is cool, but I prefer like Jaguars and Jazzmaster kind of shapes. And I prefer takes on those. I saw a really nice offset telly style guitar the other day. I can't remember who made it, but it was beautiful. I actually feel more and more like it would be something cool to do in the future. I'd really like to do an offset shape actually one day with Chapman, hopefully. But I'd like to, you know, spend the time drawing it out and getting some. I've done some drawings of offset shapes in the past that I think would be cool. You never know, one day. But to answer your question, I really do like offset guitars. I think they're wicked. Like, for example, controversial opinion, but I prefer the way a Viper looks to an SG, and I don't know why. I can't tell you why that is. Obviously the SG was first, it's the OG. Well, it's the SG. But that offset thing that they did with the Viper ESP, I don't know, it just looked badass to me, so I enjoy that. Anyway, hopefully that answered your question. Next question is from Sasha Ma. Says, first of all, I love your guitar playing and the way you present yourself and the gear you test. Thank you very much. My question is split in two. Firstly, when is your new SIG Baritone Pro model available? And secondly, is it out of the factory coming with your SIG pickup bare knuckle silos, or are the Chapman pickups in it you have to buy the bare knuckle silos and install them yourself? Firstly, availability on both those guitars is, I guess, a couple of months, because the ones you've seen are the first prototypes, and there are little things wrong. Like, for example, the routing on the trem was routed for the old trem, and I needed it set in the guitar, and it's on top, so we're making a second prototype to change that. That also changes the neck pocket, all that kind of stuff, which you guys don't need to worry about. By the time you'll be able to get one, they'll be perfect. But, you know, that was one of the things. So we had to push production back a little bit to get a new prototype. Whereas the Baritone was really cool. It was pretty much bang on. So really, we're just waiting on the Karthus burst. So it's going to be within the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 months before they're like available to order, I think. Could be sooner. I'll obviously do updates and do a full proper rundown of the spec when I get hold of the new prototypes. Second question about the pickups. Yes, they will come loaded with the bare knuckles and the Seymour Duncans and all the fancy, you know, top of the range branded hardware, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there really are just like the best guitar spec I could possibly do with Chapman at WMI in Korea. So yes, they are the most expensive guitars in the range, around $16,499, $16,999 in the UK. So it's a lot of money for a guitar, but honestly, you got to try one. They are damn good. So I'm really, really proud of them. Okay, so let's move on to some other questions. I've had quite a lot about my new guitars, which is great. Thank you very much. So let's try something a bit different. This one's from Josh Castle. He says, hey man, firstly, thank you for continuing to be a huge inspiration to myself. Thank you very much, dude. He says, my question is, the last few years for both your music and personal life have hit some huge milestones. Download Festival, Fire by the Silos, tours, etc. But what's the next big goal for 2020? That's a really good question. Yeah, we've, Tosca have achieved some really good stuff that we really dreamt of doing, so we managed to do that. Frog Leap's played some insane shows. In terms of like gig-wise, like I feel like I'm able to experience the kind of gigs I used to dream about when I was a kid. So that's like amazing, really. Couldn't be more grateful for that. So I guess like you're right in that 2019 was like a big milestone for that stuff. Personal life, I suppose, like, as much as I'm, willing to share on the internet, moving into this new place, being able to be in a nicer environment now. We have a dog, Nelly, she's the best, and I love walking her. And, me and Hannah are great. And we're happy, and it's really cool to be in this new place. And it feels like, things are going well. So that's really cool. In terms of what I want to do for 2020, truthfully, I just want to write more music because I love all the touring, all the gigs, all the festivals, of course, would never take that for granted. But one thing that really starts to get me down if I don't have the time to do it is write stuff. Like the Tosca music, it takes a long time to get right. And a result of that is that, A, the songs are really long, and B, there aren't as many as, say, other bands in the same sort of scene as us. And that kind of makes me feel a bit like I should do more. I should have more music out. And the grinding gears thing, obviously they're demos, so it doesn't feel 100% like, I've written and put out new music in a while. So that's something I really want to achieve this year, and I hope I can bring out more and more music, because that's ultimately why, well, for me personally, I'm doing any of this, is because I like writing music. So anyway, that's a good question. Next question is from Luke McFarlane. He says, hey Beer, slightly odd question for you. With the influx of YouTube being the main source of guitar-based content nowadays, do you feel this will have a large change to the guitar community, positive, negative, or none at all? That's a really good question. Yes, there is a huge influx of people doing stuff on YouTube. Me alongside hundreds of other people, thousands of other people doing it. And I think it's great. I mean, ultimately, I feel that it's a little bit of a shame for those that there'll be some people out there that do some amazing work, and the quality of their content is fantastic, but it just might, because it's so saturated, they might not get the opportunity to grow as much as, say, they would have done a few years ago when it was, less intense, less saturated. I don't really know. I think the guitar community is more connected than it's ever been. I think it's really nice that everyone can, come to one place. I do think that it gets a bit toxic. People just say what they want and how they feel, which I love. It's freedom of speech, all that stuff, but also gets a bit harsh sometimes. And other than that, I mean, but that's going to be the same with anything really, whatever it is, whether it's guitar or anything else. But I like the fact that everyone can connect. I love being able to connect with people, with you guys, and be able to talk to each other and comment on stuff and be fans of things together, like on Instagram. Like, I'm a fan of so many different musicians, and it's awesome to be able to jump on there and like talk to people about how good something is. Like, I'm all about that. I love the community vibe. So I don't really know how it's going to change. I think it's just going to keep getting more and more saturated until something big moves everything along. I have no idea. But until then, I'm going to keep making content, because why not? I'm going to keep writing riffs, keep, making videos for you guys, and just sort of document what's going on. Until the point comes along where someone goes, we don't care about you anymore. At which point, I'll stop. Or maybe I won't. We'll see. Daddy thrust a lot. Brilliant. Hey Rabea, I was hoping you'd be in Jared Dine's annual Greatest Shred collab once again. Disappointed that you weren't. Were you asked? Yes, I was asked, and unfortunately, it was right before Christmas, and to be honest, the end of last year was so intense. The amount of work and time that I had was just too much. And I agreed to it, and Jared sent me the track, and I was really grateful to be asked. Every time he asked me, I'm so grateful. And I got the track, and to be honest, I didn't have the time to put in to do it justice. I didn't just want to like press record and just whittle all over it. I like to, write stuff and make it cool and a bit different. But anyway, yeah, I was asked, and I didn't have the chance, unfortunately. But, you know, maybe next year or this year, if he asks me again, which I hope he does, I will do my very best to do it and do it to the best of my ability. Okay, there we go. That's all the questions for Ask the Fro number 17. I'm sorry there weren't as many this time because there were bigger subjects to talk about, so this video ended up being quite long. However, thank you all so much for sending in the questions. If you've got any more questions, throw them in the comments section. I'll do my very best to answer them on the next episode. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe and share, and I will see you all very soon.